Good morning, class. How's everybody doing today? Everybody doing all right? Good. Today we're going to have a class on fasteners and some of their uses. And today you will be learning getting to know about screws, nails, and some of their uses. We're going to be going over some masonry fasteners and some of their uses, and then just some other fasteners that's really not mechanical, some of the adhesives, and some of their uses. So, today, whenever we go over and think about fasteners, we need to realize that we need to use the right fasteners for the right jobs. But first, we need to make sure whenever we are doing any projects, big or small, we need to wear our proper PPE, which consists of your hard hats, your safety glasses, and your leather gloves. And that's pretty much the basic PPE that you need to wear, because we always need to think of safety first. Okay, now, whenever you go to pick out the regular type of fastener you need to be using for the job, just for example, you wouldn't want to take a pole barn spike and install it into a small piece of trim. What happens is you get the wrong fastener for the job you're trying to get done. Just the same way as using a too larger fastener, you could use a too small type of fastener. Just like you would not want to take a 4 finish nail and try to get 2 2x4s to hold together. It's just the wrong fastener for the job you're trying to work on. So today, we're going to be going over some of the type of the fasteners that we will be using, some of the basic ones that you will be using out on a job site. So what we're going to do is get started and go over, Johnny, could you tell me what this is? Yes, it is. It's a 16D common sinker. Some of the common uses for it is wood framing, floor joist framing, any type of 2x4 framing, rafter framing. This is pretty much most of your general 16D 3¼ inch sinker that you will use in most wood framing or trying to connect any 2x4, 2x6, 2x8 material. Okay? Next we will be using a 8D sinker. Alex, can you tell me some of the uses of it? Yes, it is to be used with possibly nailing down subflooring, some type of OSB, subsiding on your house, any kind of plywood. Normally anything from 1/2 to 3/4 is normally installed by using this 8 common sinker. Okay, our next fastener we're going to be going into is a 4D finish nail. Lynn, can you give me any kind of idea on what it's used for? Yes, it is for installing small trims in, say, shoe molding, quarter round, anything that is small enough and that way you can get without splitting your material. Okay, our next size is up. You can have a 4, 6, and 8D finish nail, and this is a 16D finish nail. It's commonly used for installing interior wood frames, or if you have a bigger piece of trim that you need to install in an opening, crown molding, you might need to go and get a larger size finish nail. Okay, our next fastener that we're going to be going into is Johnny. Can you give me some idea what this is and what its uses is? Yes, it is a 16 duplex. nail. And yes, it does work with form material. This is usually a fastener that is used to anchor 2x12s or any kind of form material. And the reason they use it into form material is it is used because normally you want to wreck or dismantle the material that you're putting in for the form material. So that's why it has the duplex head or the two ends that you can be able to pull out or retract from the wood really easy. Okay, another fastener that you'll possibly be using out on a job site is this 1.5" roofing nail. If you ever run into needing to install shingles, tar paper, and it has a galvanized or aluminum nail or galvalume so that it does not rust, and it's got the bigger head to hold the shingles, and that's the way you don't have the shingles blowing off whenever it's coming a rainstorm, and that gives it its stability. Okay, our next fastener we're going to go to is the 1.25" coarse thread drywall screw. Yes, it is to be able to use for installing drywall, any type of, I have seen and used it in thin luan, flooring, anything that you don't want squeaks. A screw is a much better fastening tool than a nail because it will keep its hold power a lot better than a nail and not being working out over a period of time. Okay, our next fastener we're going to be going over is the 3" coarse thread drywall nut screw. And normally it is used in case you need some 1.5" wood to be anchored, say in a handrail. Anytime you got a larger wood product that needs something that has a longer shank, or just being able to get through the material that you're wanting to be able to anchor. And it is a very, very good and fastener which you'll probably see and use a lot on the job site. Okay, this small screw here, Melina, can you tell me what it is? Yes, it is a 1/2" pan head, and it is what they refer to as a S12 or pointed tip, so that when it drills, and it is usually used to install metal stud framing. That's what its main priority and purpose is, so that to anchor the track and the studs. So if you are working for an interior systems company, this is probably one of the fasteners that you will mainly be using. Okay, now let's go into some masonry anchoring fasteners. This here is a 3" and the brand name is called a Tapcon. Its main uses is anchoring, say, metal studs, wood studs into concrete, and you actually use the drill, a hammer drill with a 3/16 bit. This is a 1/4" anchor, and it has a hex head end on it to anchor with. And this is a very good masonry anchor. Next is the 3/8" wedge anchor. With this anchor, you will need a 1/2" bit and a masonry rotary hammer, and you actually drill the hole, and as you drop the bolt into the hole, you tighten up the head, and it actually wedges this sleeve, and that's where it comes up and gets its name, being a wedge anchor. And this is another very good masonry anchor. Probably the last, one of the basic anchors. John, can you give me the idea of what this is? Yes, it is a drive pin anchor for masonry. And this is a very commonly used anchor for anchoring down metal stud track to concrete or any kind of a flat metal, say soffit if you've got a brick building and you're working in some soffit area, you need to anchor it into the masonry. And this just takes a 1/4" bit with a SDS rotary hammer, and concrete bit, and this makes a very good concrete anchor also. Now, some of the other anchors and the fasteners we're going to talk about, just one more, is the liquid nail, the heavy duty adhesive. It's a very good fastener, and some of the uses for it would be anytime you're laminating 2x4s together, if you're putting down subfloor to floor joists, or anytime if you're needing to anchor drywall to studs. Some of the specs in architectural specifications says that they just want to have the glue on the studs and not the mechanical fasteners like the drywall screw. So this sometimes, if they call for this, you have to use this type of product. Okay, so just a small recap or a small summary. We've got our 16D 3.5-inch sinker, which is normally used for framing. We have our 8D, which is a common fastener for plywood on the subfloors. We have our 4D finish nail for our finer trims. We have our 16D finish nails for the interior wood doors. We have our 1.25-inch drywall screws, which is good, what's used for drywall interior studs. And we have our Tapcon masonry anchors for the 2x4s if you need to anchor those down to the masonry. And we have our 1.5-inch drive pin anchors, which is also a very good concrete anchor. So after all these are just basically some of the most used and commonly used anchors that you will find out on the job sites. There is hundreds more, but these are just some of the basic that you will be using. So after this today, once we get done, I'm going to pass out these are test booklets in here for this sheet with some of the got some of the names to match with the anchors. So, Johnny, I'm going to let you pass these out. And we'll go over this test. And then after we get done with our written test, we're going to take some of our anchors and go out here in the shop and the nails and some of the drywall. Then we will be able to do some hands-on projects so that we can make sure you guys are doing and using the right fastener for the right job. So, you kids, let's get busy and let's make sure we have our proper PPE on before we start. And let's go ahead and get our test over with, and you guys have a good morning.